This video was sponsored by Squarespace, so if you need a website, a domain or an online store, make your next move with Squarespace and use the discount code AndrewMarr. For this week's photography trip, we drove into Doncaster National Park to explore a part of the coast that I haven't actually been to. That was the plan anyway, but we didn't quite make it all the way to the coast. While it's helpful to have a plan, it's good to be flexible and adapt to whatever the conditions are. It was getting dark, so we found a spot to set up camp amongst these gorgeous karri trees for the night. What we didn't know was we just happened to pick a spot right in front of this beautiful scene that would reveal itself in the morning light. Regardless of the plan, I'm always on the lookout for scenes to photograph. G'day there guys, I'm down here in Doncaster National Park, which is on the south coast of Western Australia, and I drove down pretty much from Perth, left in the morning, came through and collected my mate Mark. He's been on a couple of vlogs in the past. I'll add his link down the bottom. You should check out his images, they're fantastic. And we've made it down into the park, but didn't quite get to the bit of coast that we've been checking out on Google Maps. That's going to be today's little adventure. So we just parked up on the side of the track in. We're not too far away from the coast, probably about 20-30 minutes. We set up camp, had a bite to eat, had a bit of a chat, and then eventually went to bed, had a beautiful sleep. But in the morning, I woke up, you could just see the car behind me. I haven't walked all that far, and we've got this beautiful scene that just started to present itself in front of us. It's a group of karri trees that are in this valley here, and it's a little bit open on the right-hand side, and that's where the sun is rising, that's the east. And so this morning, we've had a nice little bit of side light on the sides of these karri trees, and they're just gorgeous. So normally I recommend that people walk just a little bit further than just park their car and then take a shot from their car. I usually encourage people to actually go for a bit of a walk and get into the best position. But this shot pretty much just is, what is that, 20 meters away from my car, 20 meters away from where we camped last night. I haven't moved my car, so this is a real gift. So I've set the GFX 100 up. My settings are pretty standard. They're ISO 100. I've got a aperture of 18. That makes sure that everything is in focus, because I've got some trees pretty close to the camera, and I've got plenty of trees a little bit further. I want all of those in focus. But I'm focused on the tree in front of me because that's kind of like the main event, and then you've got these other nice clump of trees around it. These are massive, massive trees. So the area here is probably pretty close to 40 or 50 meters in terms of a diameter of the clump. My shutter speed at the moment is a second, but it has been much shorter than that, depending on how much light is coming in. As I'm speaking to you now, the cloud has just come over, so it's blocking some of the light. But when the cloud breaks and a stream of that beautiful morning sunlight comes through, I'm getting some nice side light on the right-hand side. I've got this main tree in the middle, which is kind of establishing the clump for me. And yeah, I'm really happy, and it really didn't take much effort. So I'm going to take this shot. And that's done. I'll give you a look. This shot was pretty easy to edit. I raised the shadows a little to pull out some of the detail in the darker parts of the forest. I warmed the image up slightly, and with the brush tool I pulled out some of the yellows and oranges where the sunlight was hitting
some of the leaves and trunks of these beautiful karri trees. Before I share a few of the other images I took, I just want to thank Squarespace for sponsoring this video. I started using Squarespace about 8 years ago before I had a YouTube channel. I wanted a beautiful website where I could start sharing my images. I chose Squarespace because it was quick to set up using one of their gorgeous templates. And I've continued using Squarespace because I've been able to extend the website as my photography has grown, with features like integration with my social media accounts, building an email list, and adding an online store where I now sell my prints, Nissi filters and other camera gear. The website is so easy to maintain as well, with its drag and drop approach to content and the ability to monitor and make changes either on the desktop or through their mobile app. So head on over to squarespace.com for a free trial. This will give you heaps of time to set up your own website. And then when you're ready to launch, make sure you go to squarespace.com/Andrew Marr to get 10% off your first purchase. Woodland photography in Australia can be a bit of a challenge, especially if you don't have fog to help simplify the scene. When we explored more of the forest, I was looking for simple, clean scenes using shape, texture, lines, or like in this shot, colours. I'm using the warm tones of the trunks in amongst the cooler greens of the rest of the forest. And I've zoomed in a little just to remove parts of the forest that were a little distracting. What caught my eye about this scene was the textures in the fallen bark in the foreground that continued up the base of the trunk, framed with the green foliage. I waited for the sunlight, which was coming in from the left, to hit the bark of the tree and highlight just a few of the surrounding leaves. In the edit, I just darkened down the forest in the background to draw your attention to the trunk, the bark, and those few ferns in the foreground. In this image, which was one of the widest shots I took, I'm using the lines of the track to lead up to the 4 main trees I've placed in the centre of the image. If you want to know more about how I edit my images, check out these videos.